That's right, Lance, and now we're going to be joined by our first guest today. He is right now the Florida State senior defensive analyst, but more importantly for our purposes today, he was Central Florida's defensive coordinator last year, and he coached Aaron Robinson, who the Giants selected in the third round of the 2021 NFL Draft. He is Randy Shannon. He joined us on the phone right now to talk about Aaron. Randy, you got John Schmeek and Lance Medow up here in the Northeast. Thank you for being with us today. How are you?
Doing great. How you guys doing today?
We're doing fantastic, Coach, and we really want to thank you for the time here because we love talking to the college coaches that spent so much time with these players that can give insight that really even the best, draft analysts and guys that watch tape and analysts can't give us. So I guess I want to start here. What was your personal experience like coaching Aaron? What type of person was he off the field in trying to turn him from a young man that showed up to campus to a guy that was good enough to be a third-round pick to make it into the NFL?
Well, Aaron is a great young man. He's quiet now. He's very, very quiet, but he's very competitive. And sometimes his quietness can fool you because of the way he handles himself. He's not a person that's a rah-rah type of guy. But when he actually gets into it and making plays on the football field and the heat of the battle, you can see a lot of excitement comes out of him. Off the field, he's a guy that's trying to come in the office all the time and want to learn a little bit more, come and watch extra film with the coaches. He's just a team guy that just wants to win.
Coach, if my research is accurate, it seems as if you go pretty far back with Aaron Robinson because I believe he committed to Florida the summer before his senior year in 2015. And at the time, you were on the Florida staff as the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator. So how much did you put into recruiting Aaron Robinson to perhaps even start off with you at Florida?
Oh, he was an unbelievable player back at Deerfield Beach with Coach Glenn. And he was one of the most highly recruited guys in the South Florida region. He was very athletic, very competitive, makes a lot of plays. He was just one of those guys you hope that you can get on your team that one day that you say, hey, he'll make a big difference. And he chose Alabama and over us. And then the long story comes around, 3 years later, me and Aaron Robinson back again at Central Florida. So it's a great relationship, great friendship. I talked to him the other day. He was excited and love to have kind of those relationships with guys.
Yeah, and then, of course, after that 1 year at Alabama, he transfers over to UCF where you had a chance to coach him. And Coach, I guess why don't we start there? Where do you think Aaron's strengths lie as a cornerback? If you want to put him in the position where he has the best chance to succeed, what are you going to ask him to do from that cornerback position the most in terms of coverage technique and scheme?
Aaron is the type of guy that likes to mix it up a little bit, and he's a guy that's very competitive. If you challenge Aaron, he'll step up to the challenge because he's very competitive that way. And that's one of the things that we did every time we play a big-time receiver. We kind of challenge Aaron to step up and control the guy and make sure that he doesn't get his yards or his catches that he normally does. And he did. I mean, that was one of the biggest things that he can do. He can step up. He can challenge people. He's not a small corner. He's not a big corner. He's a 5'11", 6-foot guy. Got very long arms, and very athletic. He can run. So he can bring a lot to the table as far as playing the cornerback positions, or he can go inside, which today's world, he can play nickel, which everybody lines up with 3 receivers on the field all the time now. So he's got value to the football team.
Coach Lance, I want to follow up there very quickly. Coach, you said he's good at nickel. It takes a special type of player. I've been around the NFL for a long time to play inside cornerback. You have to deal with that two-way go. You got to deal with run support. You got to be able to blitz the quarterback. You got to be able to tackle. All these things that, makes really in some ways playing nickel a lot tougher than playing outside. Why was Aaron Robinson somebody that was so good at playing that nickel corner spot inside?
Because his quickness and adversity, and with his quickness with his feet and how much speed he has, but he wasn't afraid of contact. If people try to run the ball to him, he would step up in the run game. He'll go and run around an offensive lineman, or sometimes he'll just mix it up with offensive linemen. He wasn't afraid. So those were one of the things that he did. And also as a blitzer, he made a lot of plays for us coming off the edge and making plays on the quarterback.
Coach, related to that, when I was watching some film of Aaron Robinson, I'm glad you brought up his ability to embrace contact and help stop the run because, as you well know, on any level, whether it be college football or the NFL, you expect your corners to help out in terms of stopping the run. He didn't shy away, it seemed, from blowing up an offensive player in his vicinity to then get a good read or take a good angle in terms of aiding in run defense. How much did you see him grow, specifically as a run defender, in the 2 years that he started for you in 19 and 20?
Oh, dramatically. I mean, he grew a lot, and he just wanted to learn what would need to get done. And he wasn't afraid. He was kind of excited about it because he said he never, we always talk about defensive backs don't get tackles for loss. Aaron used to brag about it because he used to, get about maybe 1 or 2 every now and then come back and get another 1 or 2 every other game. And he was excited about it because it was a chance for him to give crap to the linebackers or somebody else at his position.
Coach, I want to go in the classroom a little bit here because one thing that Joe Judge and Patrick Graham, they're not shy about the fact that they ask a lot of their players. The Giants' defense changes a lot from week to week based on the opponent that they're facing. They require their players to do a lot of film work, and they require them to know a lot about not only their opponents, but being able to be scheme versatile and doing different things each week. What type of learner was Aaron, and how was he in the classroom, film study, those sorts of things? And how did he improve in those areas over the course of his seasons there with you at UCF?
Well, the biggest thing that Aaron did when he was at UCF, Aaron did a lot of things like after class, he'll come over and say, hey, Coach, let's watch some extra film, which is kind of difficult in the NFL, but he was used to watching extra film, watching his technique, watching his one-on-one with coaches, watching him one-on-one what type of practice he had, as far as watching his cut up of himself in practice, and then come back later on, and then you watch it with the regular group. So he was always getting 2 doses of it every time. And that's something tells you a lot about a young man that comes over and want to watch one-on-one with a coach, but then comes back and watch it with his teammates when the coach is going over it. So he loves football, loved the game, he loved the excitement of it, and we've done a lot of things on defense as far as coverage-wise and technical things that I think Aaron would be able to pick up easily. And it's just have to be terminology of words and how he construct them and transfer their language into that language what he had at UCF, but then now use their language in play.
Well, and Coach, speaking of coverage, I think the one statistic that jumps off the page, if you look at his last 2 seasons, 20 passes defensed in his last 22 games. So you had a consistent guy that would get his hand in the passing lane, and I think we get caught up when we evaluate corners sometimes where we're looking for those opportunistic plays, the interceptions, the forced fumbles. How unfair is it to define a player such as an Aaron Robinson, given the fact that maybe the interceptions are not there, but those ball-hawking plays still tend to show up consistently?
It showed up a lot because of his nickel ability. We used him a lot at nickel, to be honest with you. We used him a lot at nickel, played him some at corner, but everybody in college put their best guy at the nickel because you're going one-on-one with a linebacker most of the time. So, but we had the fortune enough to have Aaron Robinson and then use a linebacker and use his skills. And a lot of those plays are bang-bang plays. So either you have to get the ball out real quick or you turn around and the ball is hitting you in your hands or something like that. So he's unbelievable at playing the nickel position. I think he'll make a tremendous value when he plays corner because it's not as quick as it is at nickel.
Yeah, Coach, and that's exactly what Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman mentioned when they drafted him. They liked his ability to play inside, and they liked his ability to play press man, and that's something you guys asked a lot of him as well. His coverage was sticky. One adjustment you might have to make now is that, in the NFL, once you get past 5 yards, you're not allowed any contact. So as someone that coached him up in college, what would be some of the things that you would continue to coach him up on to try to adjust to some of the new things he would have to deal with at the NFL?
At the NFL level, you got to use your body more than anything. It's become body position because of the grabbing downfield is the biggest thing that's a big change. And Aaron did a tremendous job of using his body downfield this upcoming season. I couldn't tell you the pass interference because of press coverage. It allows both offense and defensive players, you're fighting all the time. So most officials, when they see you play press, as long as you don't grab and you are fighting for position, most of the times they let it go. And I think that's something that'll be attributed to him. If he can control his hands, he'll be phenomenal.
We're talking with Randy Shannon, who was the Central Florida defensive coordinator for 3 seasons while Aaron Robinson was there. He now serves as a Florida State senior defensive analyst. Coach, in terms of the adversity maybe that Aaron Robinson had to deal with and how much he's grown as a player. I think it's interesting. 2018, he suffered that gruesome concussion on the opening kickoff of the season and wound up missing 6 games, and then really blossomed in the final 2 years as he used him more on the defensive side of the ball. What do you think he learned from that incident early on in 2018, and how far he's grown just from a mental perspective after you have to deal with such a serious injury like that?
We talked to Aaron about it when he had the concussion because that was something that was serious, and we talked about how you can just keep moving forward and pressing on. Aaron been through a lot in his lifetime before he had that concussion. He has his mom; she's a great lady, but he's been through a whole lot. And I told him, and we talked to him as a defensive staff, hey, this is something that's going to set you back, but you got 2 choices: you fight back like you've been fighting all your life to get where you're at, or you can just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to just let it overwhelm me. I see, but mentally, you can bounce back, but we want to make sure that you was okay mentally and everything else. And he did. He bounced back, and he never had no problems. And the one thing that got him, he started ducking his head. That's what got him the concussion. And he started doing all the right things tackling-wise and all the fundamentals to keep those things from happening again.
How about his role on special teams? He had 78 snaps on kick coverage, 73 on punt return, 89 on field goal extra point block, 12 on punt coverage. Was he someone that was eager and anxious to play special teams? Because, coaches, you're a rookie in the NFL. To get on the field, you better be willing to play those specials.
Well, you know what? It's like we told him. Okay, you on punt return. It's like you playing cornerback. Don't let that guy run down the field and make a punt return. That's just one of the deals. And then we say, hey, when you go field goal block, that's like a defensive play. You block a field goal, hey, that goes on your stats. So Aaron bought into those things, and kickoff, we say, hey, you run down, you're the fastest guy on the team. Just make sure nobody don't break. If they do, you get a tackle, line up, and we play defense. So those things are part of defensive plays that Aaron loved to do and make plays that way. So he bought into it. It wasn't no fight, wasn't a struggle. It was just another defensive play for him.
Coach, you mentioned earlier he's a relatively quiet individual, but not to let that fool you. I'm just wondering, how did he fit in as he became more of an upperclassman and you brought in younger players, I'm assuming specifically in the secondary? How much did you lean on him to groom those players and the interaction that he showed on that standpoint, maybe in the leadership department?
Aaron did it quietly. We didn't have to go and say, Aaron, do this. Aaron would, see somebody down, and he'd just walk over there and start talking to the young man, or something to happen, and Aaron said, hey, you need to use this technique, stop doing this, you're doing this. He was that type of quiet leader. He wasn't a rah-rah guy, wasn't a guy that's going to, hey, come over here. He'll just walk around and just go, next thing you know, you see Aaron over there whispering in the young man's ear. So that's what type of leader he is. He's not a rah-rah. He don't want the fame and fortune. He just want to be a guy that's being a part of the team, but he's going to help his teammates out.
Coach, final question for me. If you could just thumbnail it, just tell Giant fans what they're getting in Aaron Robinson and why they should be excited to add him to their football team.
You know what, Aaron Robinson, you remember a guy named Antrel Rolle?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Okay, you're getting a guy physical like that is great feet, more athletic, and loves the game like Antrel did. That's what type of player you're getting.
That's interesting. How much experience did you have with Antrel?
I coached Antrel at Miami.
Oh, very good. Yeah, because I was here in 11 when the Giants won the Super Bowl with Antrel Rolle, and I could tell you, Coach, that guy brought a personality and edge to that defense and leadership that was just so sorely needed. He could cover in the slot. He could play safety. If you're telling me that's what Aaron Robinson could bring Giant fans, I think it would be dancing in the streets up here, man.
That's what you're getting. You're getting a guy like that. Antrel was more outverted. He can talk to you, and
Oh, he could talk all right.
He can talk now. Antrel can talk, but like anything else, Aaron was more of just, hey, I'm quiet. I'm going to do my job. Now, when we get on that field, he's going to get excited. He's going to be electrifying and all those things, and you'll see some great things out of him. So, but his nickname, we call him A-Rob, to be honest. We call him A-Rob.
Oh, very good.
Well, I'm sure Giants fans, to your point, will welcome the versatility if he ends up like an Antrel Rolle. Speaking of Giants connections, Coach, before we let you go, since you do have very strong ties to Miami, one of our colleagues, if I'm correct, was actually your teammate at Miami, Jeff Fiegels. I was wondering if you have any dirt on him that you could pass on that we can then give him a hard time about.
Fiegels dirt. Let's go.
Oh, Jeff, I can't give you no dirt on Jeff. Jeff is one of the greatest guys we ever had, and was just a punter that we didn't let nobody touch because he can make a difference in the game. And he's one unbelievable guy, great guy, and God, I ain't heard that name in so long. Tell him I said hello.
We absolutely will. I figured we'd reminisce a little about Jimmy Johnson and company before we let you go.
Might want to do? Hey, this is what you can do to Jeff. Say, Jeff, what is Building 36?
Okay.
We will throw that out at him.
Oh, absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Jeff is hosting the show with us tomorrow. That is something we will absolutely ask him.
Okay.
Coach, we really appreciate the time today, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon, and best of luck with your recruiting season, and best of luck at Florida State next year.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too.